mission, a mission. Trying to get it right. Transition. Changing the way that I see life. Transition mind. I'm on a mission. On a mission. Trying to get it right. I'm transitioning my life. Making a transition. Ooh, making a transition. Ooh, 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 ooh. Making a transition. Ooh, 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 ooh. Making a transition. Ooh, ooh. Transition, a mission. I'm on a mission. On a mission. I'm trying to get it right. Changing the way that I see life. Transition in my life. On a mission. On a mission. On a mission.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Alchemizing Energy, and this is the Opinionated Podcast. Today, we have attorney Calvin Johnson, who's going to be discussing a lot of the current events that you see today in the news and its legal implications. And you know what? This is an open panel, so if you do want to ask an attorney, get an attorney's opinion about what you might think about how things are going, I'm going to put the link into the chat. This is your chance to actually get a lawyer's opinion about some of this stuff, like some of the questions you might have had, to these certain things. In the meantime, how are you doing, attorney Calvin Johnson?
Hey, I'm doing just fine. Yeah, doing just fine, doing good.
Yes. So you've been doing law for how long have you been doing law? If people haven't seen my last interview with you, how long have you been practicing law?
23 years practicing law here in Dallas, Texas.
Okay, you're a criminal attorney, correct?
Yes, for the most part, yes.
And you also do entertainment law.
Yes, I do. I do represent a couple of musical people, the rapper Seven the Great, a few other artists here in Dallas, and they consult me from time to time. So I do a few things.
I want to give a shout out to Jackie, my moderator. As people come into the chat, please, I'm going to be putting down the StreamYard link. If you do want to join the chat and ask a lawyer, he is right here. But in the meantime, let's get to it. So there's a lot going on in the news right now. You have this stuff with Jay-Z. You have this guy Fauci. I wanted to kind of start off. Let's just get the ball. Let's start with the ball rolling right away. What is your thoughts on how this whole case is going?
Well, the situation with Diddy, I'll tell you this. It wouldn't surprise me of the things that they're accusing Diddy of doing that he did. I'm not saying that he did do it. I don't know. I don't know the man, but it would not surprise me, right? But at the same time, Jay-Z, I don't know about that. Trying to accuse him of something like that from so long ago is an issue for a number of reasons. Number one, that allegation would be so old, the chances of potentially going to criminal court or having valid evidence is not going to be there. So there is a difference between the criminal courts and the civil courts. Now, to sue him civilly, it's a different situation because they would have to just believe the accuser. The concern that I have is that the accuser's dad doesn't remember anything about allowing her to be in that position. The accuser herself doesn't remember some of the details, and she says she may have some of the information wrong, and stuff like that concerns me. The problem is, and I'm not taking up for Jay-Z, but when you have a situation like that, when somebody accuses you of that, even if you're proven to be innocent, you still don't win because there's a stain of the allegation that's on you. And there are a lot of people that will just pay money just to not have to deal with that stain, because if you have a reputation and you're doing business with big business partners like the NFL, record labels, streaming applications, other entertainment and revenue and those kind of things coming in, your name and reputation is very, very important. So the simple fact that somebody's accusing you of something, you may want to try to nip that at the bud and just go out and say, hey, I don't want to get accused of this publicly. So you might be interested in trying to solve it. But I have a lot of concerns about that, about these allegations, because they're so old. And I'm not saying that old allegations can't be proven, but when the dad says he doesn't remember any of that, and then her being in the situation, and then in addition to that, somebody being 13 years old, any adult, if you're a dad or a mom, how do you even allow your 13-year-old daughter to even be in a situation with some adults, unsupervised, when you're nowhere around?
Especially an autistic 13-year-old daughter.
Yeah, see, that's the thing that concerns me. Like, as a father, like, I'm not gonna let my daughter just be around a bunch of grown folks that I don't know. I mean, of course they're entertainers, and you think that you know entertainers, but the simple fact that they're entertainers, I'm not trying to be funny, it's gonna pique my interest. I'm gonna be like, wait a minute, I don't want my daughter around these folks. I don't know them like that. Like, in today's world, you very rarely let your daughter around your neighbor or some of your friends because you don't really know what people are doing. But to let your daughter around somebody, maybe a close friend or family member or somebody that you trust, you've been knowing for a while, but to let your daughter and leave them around somebody random, who really does that? So that's the thing that I have concerns about.
So, lately you had this situation with Fauci where it's like this Jane Doe, and then he's a lawyer that let her go out and put her get on the news and be the Jane Doe and tell her story. Is that a normal thing that happens with lawyers? I would think that most lawyers would not want their witness to speak to the press. Is that a common thing? When does a lawyer allow you to speak to the press?
Well, see, that could be part of the problem in terms of putting pressure on Jay-Z, because then when you put a face to the allegations and then that person sounds believable, it applies pressure to Jay-Z to try to settle or try to provide some money or try to maybe nip it in the bud before it gets out of control. And so that's part of that, applying pressure to the reputation. And some people don't understand this. Me and my wife have a conversation sometimes. So if you didn't do it, well, why would you pay a settlement? Because look, the simple fact that somebody accuses you of something can take a reputation, and you could never recover from that, even if you're found to be innocent. Or, for example, in this situation, if the allegations are 10, 15, 20 years old, right? It's going to be your word against theirs. And there's some people that are never going to side with you, even if it looks like that person is lying. So you're going to lose a whole set of folks no matter what you do.
So they're trying to exploit a law, it sounds like to me, in New York.
Yes.
This is what it sounds like. So what is this law, and why is it that people are allowed to come out of nowhere 100 years later and say, oh, this happened to me, and then try to sue and get some money? Because anything civil is for money.
Basically, it expanded the time limits on when you could sue somebody, the statute of what we call statute of limitations. When certain things and allegations get so old, depending on the state that you're in New York, it could have been 15 years and it could have got extended to 25. I'm not for sure exactly how long they extended it. But when they extend these statute of limitations, it allows you in civil court to go and sue for stuff that happened, let's say 25 years ago. Let's say the statute of limitations used to be 15 years. And now a lot of people are outside of that 15 years. But when they extended the statute of limitation to 20, 25 years, then now you fall within that statute of limitations. And because you fall within the statute of limitations, now you can actually file suit, take stuff to court, and try to get some monetary damages for that.
Is that the same thing that happened with Bill Cosby? Was that like a similar suit, or was it a criminal charge off rip?
Well, Bill Cosby's situation was a criminal charge. And I think that there were some statute of limitation issues where they could not charge him. Initially, I think it got extended or expanded. And what happens is they had to try to find somebody allegations that fell within the time limits, right? And I think they found that one lady, that Constance lady, I'm not for sure what her name was, but she fell within those statute of limitations. But I think that case got reversed because they allowed a lot of what we call character information or character witnesses to Bill Cosby's bad character. to testify. And typically they won't let that kind of information in. And so I think that when he appealed, because the judge allowed all of these accusers to come in and testify, I think that that's how he got his case overturned, because I was concerned that they were allowing too much information from these alleged accusers to come in, because a lot of them fell outside of the time limits to where they couldn't actually do anything criminally. But I think that the judge erred in his ruling of allowing these women to come in and testify against Mr. Cosby. Now, I'm not trying to say Bill Cosby was not right or wrong in whatever he was doing, because I don't know. But at the same time, there are rules in place to make sure that certain things don't happen. And I don't think that you should get around those rules depending on the person that you're in. And then the bigger question is, why is this happening to people? So when I say why is this happening to people, this is a conversation that we could probably go into now a little bit. Bill Cosby was trying to buy NBC. Then all of a sudden this comes up. P. Diddy was trying to sue the liquor company, the liquor billionaires. Then all of a sudden this comes. P. Diddy was trying to sue the liquor billionaires. Then this comes up. Then Jay-Z, of course, working with NFL, has a lot of power, owns his own masters. Now this is coming up with him. And so my concern is they're taking down hip hop's billionaire elites. And I'm concerned about that, because these are folks that have a lot of power to make a lot of change. They actually have some money. And so I always use my third eye when I'm looking into a situation like this. I want to make sure that I'm just not being, stupid to the fact that there are certain people in places that if you try to go after billionaires, that they don't have the power to make certain things happen to you.
I think it's interesting that he even tried to give like $50 million to the courts, which is interesting that you could pretty much buy the court, like to think that you could say, hey, I'll give you my house if you don't, if you let me out.
No, a lot of that is he just wanted to put that up for bail to ensure that he didn't run. What you do is when you do a bail, you secure a bail by providing property and saying that, hey, if I don't show up at court, this house belongs to now the federal government. And so it's not really buying the government. It's just ensuring that you're going to show up. And some people have the power to be able to do that. So if I post a $50 million bond and I'm using my house to back it up, then to say that I'm going to show up, I would lose my house and my assets if I ran. And
so that was his insurance that he's not going to like skip the country.
Yeah.
Even if he did skip the country, they would still, I mean, there's still international abilities or ways that they could still come get you, correct?
Yeah, but once again, when you have a lot of money, you can hide. Look at just Ghislaine Maxwell, the one that was helping Epstein. She was literally hiding in a castle for some years. Nobody could find her. And She literally was hiding in a castle, hiding out somewhere in another country in a castle where nobody knew where she was at. Because, you have money, you can hide. I mean, there's actually what's funny. There's going to be a movie coming out about Craig Pettis, one of the Memphis dope dealers. One of the largest dope dealers in history, and he actually hid out in Mexico for about 2 or 3 years with the cartels, and nobody could find him. So if you have money, sometimes you can hide. So that's one thing. The flip side of this issue is though, like for example, when you try to sue a liquor company, and this is the part that people of the law don't understand. I'm a billionaire, and I'm suing a billionaire company, and I'm a brand ambassador, right? And we have a contract that says that, hey, I'm supposed to get A, B, and C once I do D, E, and F, right? Mm-hmm. So there are also clauses in this contract for certain things. Like there's more clauses in these contracts. Like there's things called moral turpitude, right? So any sexual crimes, any crimes involving theft, any crimes involving prostitution, trafficking, those types of things, those are considered cases of moral turpitude. Theft, prostitution, trafficking, lying, those types of things are considered will consider moral turpitude crimes. And in a lot of these contracts, these billionaire contracts, or these $1 billion contracts, sometimes when you're a brand ambassador, they include crimes of moral turpitude or clauses that could void the entire contract if you are accused of cases of moral turpitude. So if I'm a billionaire and you're a billionaire and we're suing each other, and you know that you probably owe me $2 or $3 billion, and I can potentially take, half of your company, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to have my lawyer look at your contract and say, how can I get out of this? Well, there's a moral turpitude clause in there. And then so if I'm a billionaire, I'm going to hire the best private investigators possible, right? So I'm going to go out and hire every possible private investigator I can find, and we're going to follow you. We're going to dig into your past, 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, right? I'm going to look into everything that you've ever done. And so if I'm going to sue you, if we're suing each other, I'm going to try to use this information to get out of paying you. Because if you get charged with a crime, a moral turpitude, that's my way out the contract, right? Mm-hmm. So you're suing me, I'm worth $1 billion, you're worth 30, 40 billion. You're a liquor company, and you know that I could get, up to half of your company or 20 or 30% of your company. Well, I'm going to have my investigator go do my research, and I'm going to get all of this information on you. And if I find some bad stuff that will fall with the moral turpitude clauses, then I'm going to turn it over to the authorities because I want you charged. Because if I charge you, now you get to void the contract. Then now I don't owe you that money. Now I can slap you down.
Wow.
And so people don't understand, like, don't get me wrong, Puffy's wrong. Like, don't get me wrong. But you mean to tell me that nobody knew about what happened to Cassie all these years? Somebody knew. And even the people in New York, it has just happened that they changed the law in New York to extend her to be able to sue him, right? Right. That wasn't an accident. That wasn't an accident.
So you think that they specifically changed the law for this particular situation?
They could have. When you're a billionaire, you have a lot of power. You give to a lot of people.
Wow.
So if I'm a billionaire, I can lobby, I can give money to all these people. I can basically buy out the people that are the representatives. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, listen, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna donate 30, 40,000, 50,000 to everybody's campaign on this side, but I need y'all to push this law through because we need to make sure that women are protected. It's not really about making sure that women are protected. If you want to go after this guy because you have a stake in this situation, you need to get out of this. So people have to open their eyes, and that's why I try to tell people, they go on these internet rants about, oh, Puffy, I hope they get Jay-Z, I hope they get this. And I'm like, why do you hope that they get them? They only want to get them is because they want to control us by letting us know, number one, I don't care how much money you got, Negro, we're going to show you we can still control you. We got ways of still getting to you. And see, that's the part that I don't think no one is discussing.
Also, I noticed that this list that's going on, that this list of stars, the Epstein list, now there's the P. Diddy list and all this other stuff. Is it normal that these lists get released, or why are the lists being held?
Because there are a lot of powerful people that could get exposed. There are even probably some people in power that could possibly get exposed. They're not going to expose themselves. And when you think about it, and we always pay attention, and some people don't pay attention to current events as much as I do. Before Jamie Foxx had the issue with his whatever he went through, remember there was a party that Cardi B was throwing, and he couldn't get in.
Yes.
And they wouldn't let him in. And it was all over the internet, and they wouldn't let him in, and talking about they wouldn't let him in and his folks in. And I look back then and I go like, damn, that was weird. Like, that's Jamie Foxx, man. That's Jamie Foxx. You know what I mean? Jamie Foxx is a mega star. He sings, he acts, he's been in movies, he's a comedian, he has a channel. But I heard he was talking too much, and I also heard he was recording things. Ooh. And so
they all seem to be recording things. That's what it seems to be the thing to do.
Well, see, that's the issue. It seemed like they were afraid that Jamie was talking too much, and they were afraid that maybe he had some recordings he wasn't supposed to have. Mm. And so that's the concern that I look back at the Jamie situation. I was like, damn, like about 3 weeks before he had this episode, he got denied access into a Cardi B party. I'm like, damn, was it because of this and that? And then you hear what happened to Al B. Sure, how he got sick. He has a kid by Kim Porter. He almost died.
Yeah, it looks like the bodyguard that I guess his name is Big C, Big. He actually was sick recently. He got really sick again. I guess they're saying that a lot of poisoning is going on and stuff like that.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Like, I remember like Christopher Williams, he ended up having some issues.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you know how the
Well, he
Koreans
was in a
New Jack
coma,
City
wasn't
have
he?
issues, right?
Wasn't he
was
in a
on top-
coma?
Yeah, he was almost in a coma, and I'm looking and I'm like, man, and you know, him and I'll be sure cousins. So
Right, you know they probably tell each other stuff, so you
But-
know whatever I'll be sure know Christopher know. What the heck? That's
well,
crazy.
see, that was the issue too. And you know, he was involved in some rumors because your girl, whatever her name is, I ain't want to mention her name.
Yeah,
She was saying that, you know, Christopher Williams was somewhere doing something with somebody, and I was like, man, you know, so it ends up being, you know, you really start to open your eyes. You know, everybody was laughing. Even I was like side-eyeing Cat, but now I'm looking at stuff like, you know, Cat was telling a lot of the truth, probably. I mean, I wonder about that kind of stuff. Even though I'm not, and don't get me wrong, and I have my own issues with Cat Williams that are different from me
right,
having
you know,
issues
like
with-
a personal issues is when you met him.
well, first of all, my cousin did some work for him, man, and he didn't do them right. So that's a whole nother conversation. My cousin's a comedian in California, and he just didn't do my cousin right. So I'm all family first. I had some people get mad at me, like probably shouldn't say this, but I had met Lunell, and Lunell's a big Cat person, and we were supposed to actually go. Like my buddy, you know, he knew her. We were supposed to go to breakfast the next morning, and they went to breakfast, and I was like, "Damn, why they didn't call me?" And then I realized I was like, "Well, probably because I said some shit about Cat, you know." But because that's her person. And then when I talked to my cousin was like, me and Lunell don't get along. And I was like, oh, so she probably looked at me like, damn, that's his cousin. I don't want to be around him. So it's okay. But you know, I just tell the truth. I don't give a flying, you know what, but I just tell the truth about stuff. But at the same time, when you look and you think about things, you have to keep your eyes open. There's reasons why things happen. You know, and I'm looking at this situation like, wait a minute, there's more to play here.
So you're an entertainment lawyer right now. I mean, and you're also a criminal lawyer. Is Hollywood like changing now? Are the freak offs still going on, or is it just they had to get rid of that old guard of people that had all this footage on everybody and all these things, whatever for some reason we're allowed to have?
This is my concern. I think a lot of that goes on, and then even here recently, like I tell people, you know, Quincy Jones just passed away, but there was a guy named Clarence Avant, and he was considered the godfather. So, and Clarence Avant, you know, I'm a big music person, right? So, like some people, like I know all the R&B, I know all the soul music from the 50s all the way to 2020, and I not only know the music, like I know the producers, I know who produced what, I know the power players. Like people don't understand the importance of Clarence Avant. Clarence Avant was Bill Withers' I think manager back in the day. You know, the guy who sang, I think, Happy Day.
Yeah.
So he had a bunch of skins in the game, but he was a very powerful man. And I heard that they said that he protected Puffy, a lot of stuff from happening to Puffy, because he just knew everybody. Like Clarence Avant was the guy. I'll give you an example of how powerful he was. Michael Jackson did a song on, I guess, on one of the E.T. movies that he wasn't supposed to do. And everybody was fighting about it because they wanted the rights to it. And everybody met in this big room and they were fighting over who was going to get the revenues and who was going to be able to use the song and who was going to get the rights to it. And they asked, well, they knew everybody in the room and they was like, well, who is he? And oh, that's Clarence Avant. Who does he represent? He represents everybody. And I was like, what do you mean he represents everybody? Yeah, he represents everybody.
He was a producer?
No, he was a producer, industry guy. He did a lot of stuff.
Right.
Like
he was a middleman, but he just had the connection. Okay.
If you go to Netflix, there's a Netflix special called The Godfather of Soul, Clarence Avant. That's what they called him. The Godfather of Soul. And the thing that worries me now, and I get to thinking, like, he passed away about 4 or 5 months ago. But 3 months before he passed away, somebody broke in his house and killed his wife in a home invasion.
What?
Yeah. So once again, you know, I have to question everything because I'm like, the hell?
And what did they do? Steal just his computer and left everything else? Like
I don't know what they stole, but at the end of the day, they killed his wife.
Yeah.
And then he passes away here recently, but he was older. He was very old. But Clarence Avant was a very, very powerful man. Like I'll tell you how much power he had, right? Remember when Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis left the time and Prince fired them? Mm-hmm. Clarence Avant was the guy who gave them the money to start their label.
Wow.
Who got them to start their label?
LaFace Records?
No, Flight Time.
Flight Time. Okay.
And people don't understand, like Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, all time, they're in the top 3 producing duos of all time in R&B music history. Period.
Who wait, are they the ones who made Tony Braxton or who? What? No,
they did stuff. They did some stuff for Tony Braxton, but let me tell you who they are. They did a lot of Prince's stuff. So you got a lot of the Prince stuff was them. You got the Time stuff, that's them. You got Alexander O'Neal, that's them. You got Janet Jackson, that's them.
Okay.
They did stuff for Tony Braxton. They did stuff for Johnny Gill. They've done stuff for everybody.
New Edition.
Everybody. They are from Mint Condition. They're the one who gave Mint Condition their deal. So all the Mint Condition stuff, that's them. People don't understand. There's a song called remember, I'm Only Human. I'm Only Human. There's a song called I'm Only Human, right? That's them. That's them.
Okay. Wow.
And so they produced pop records. So they produced pop, country records, rock records. People don't even know.
I remember when they were cleaning up at the Grammys back in the day. I remember where everything was like Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Like that New Jack Swing too. Like the guy they were.
That's half of them. Like that's them too. Like that's some of them too. So let's be like I'm gonna be honest. They have more hits than LA and Babyface. They have more hits than Teddy Riley. I'm just that they do.
There was like a whole rivalry between all 3 of them.
I mean there was that rivalry, and that's why. But Clarence Avant was the guy who got them the money that they needed to be able to do what they did. So, but his wife ended up getting killed in the home invasion.
That's
3 months before he died. So it's like,
why would they
start thinking about that stuff, right?
Why would they need to have killed her? That's interesting.
Well, everybody says that he was the guy who kept Puffy from getting in trouble. Like he got juice. Like Clarence Avant's a G.
I wonder if he passed of pneumonia. We know because they say that if people that get cyanide poison end up having pneumonia. So if he died of pneumonia, we know what would happen.
Well, see, that's the thing. And he was the owner of there's a record label called Taboo Records, right? Remember Taboo Records? Taboo Records had Sherelle, Alexander O'Neal, and M2Me.
Yes.
So Taboo Records were a very, very powerful record label. And Alexander, people don't understand. Like, you go back and you look at Alexander O'Neal, people don't they just look at Alexander O'Neal like he was just a regular R&B star. No, he had a great career. After he finished his career in the United States, he ended up going to Europe. He was the first person to sell Wembley Stadium out 6 nights in a row.
Wow. Okay.
So he sold Wembley Stadium out 6 nights in a row. Was the first person to ever do that. Him, like he was that dude. They love R&B in Europe. Right. I'm talking about it wasn't Madonna, it wasn't the rest of them. Remember, Madonna brought a band on stage and was doing all that stuff. Alexander O'Neal was the first person to do that.
Huh.
So people don't.
Europe
don't understand.
Europe's a big market, and Japan.
Yeah, and Joe did a live show in Japan. He did 6 nights in about a 3,000 seats theater, and the lowest ticket was like $1,000.
Wow.
And then Billboard sponsored it. Joe made a killing for 6 nights in Tokyo. Here's a video called Live Joe Live in Japan. Amazing video. But getting back to what I'm talking about.
When we stop hearing about artists here, that don't mean that they stop. They just end up going overseas, right?
But people don't understand, once you start owning your masters, like you understand, like Puffy owned the masters to music. Everything that was being played, he actually owned his masters, a lot of the masters, the whole Bad Boy catalog.
And everybody else's masters too.
Exactly. Biggie Smalls' is masters. You got Jay-Z. He owned every album 100% except for a Reasonable Doubt. And that's why when Dame Dash was trying to auction it off, he wanted to stop it. But Jay-Z owns the rest of his entire catalog.
Dude, what do you think about that? About the government coming in and buying the masters? Like, isn't that weird? What?
Because they can make a lot of money off of it. I mean, it's an asset that's going to make you money, and it's going to make you more money than you pay for it.
Isn't it like the city of New York owns it or something?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
Why do you think Jay-Z would do that? Instead of like letting him have his portion, letting something else come along and do it.
Well, Dame owns his portion, and Dame owns a third, Biggs owns a third, and Jay-Z owns his third.
Well, didn't Jay-Z sell his portion to New York or something like that?
No, Damon Dash had to sell his portion because remember he got sued and he's behind on his taxes.
Wow.
So he had to sell his portion. And Kareem Biggsburg, who people really don't talk about, him and Jay-Z, they still do business with each other. But Dame and Jay don't do business with each other anymore. And a lot of it is honestly, Dame Dash is a lot of reason for Jay-Z's success, and people don't want to give him a lot of credit for it because I heard Dame could be an asshole, but at the same time, Dame didn't know how to talk to people. Like he was big dog, trying to big dog everybody.
I remember those DVDs, the hip hop DVDs back in the day with Dame Dash, going wild and out. But you know what? It seemed like all those guys back in the day would be wilding out. There was videos of Russell Simmons wilding out on people. P. Diddy wilding out on people. Like they would just go. They would be like assholes to everybody.
Listen, the music industry is gangster. Like Teddy Riley had to get, he had to get some New York gangsters to go out to Gene Griffin and let him off the label. Like Gene Griffin was basically just taking all the money that Teddy Riley was making. He had some gangsters to go to Gene Griffin and let him off the label. So these are the kind of things that we talk about when you talk about the music industry itself. Man, that's a lot of people, a lot of power at play. I mean, you think about these royalties and you think about what can happen if you hold on to just music royalties. I'll give you an example, right? There was a guy who was in, I forgot what soul group he was in, but he ended up leaving the industry and ended up becoming a probation officer, didn't want to get involved in the music industry, was damn near broke. Lenny Williams, Because I Love You.
Yes.
Him. What happened was
that was a gangster story that happened too. It seemed like it's a lot of criminal activity in the music bit. Like, being a lawyer, do you find yourself like a lot of your clients end up being somewhat connected to the music industry in some way?
Sometimes it can be a dirty industry. Like I'll give you an example. They wanted him to like do drugs and be involved in the industry. He didn't want to do it. So he just dropped out of the group, decided he wanted to do music anymore. And he was a probation officer about to go broke, didn't know how he was going to pay his rent. Mortgage was due. Daughter was at college. Goes to the mailbox one day. He had held on to the rights for that song. He wrote it, produced it, did the musicianship in it. He owned all the rights to that song, Because I Love You, right? So he goes to the mailbox. He's broke. A $490,000 check in there.
Wow.
He starts looking around like, he holds on to the thing for 3 or 4 days, don't even cash it. He's like,
this can't be real.
Is this a mistake? What had happened is, if you remember the song and people don't realize, Overnight Celebrity with Twister and Kanye West was the #1 song in the world at that time.
Okay.
And the first quarter, the first 3 months, that was his royalty check just for the first 3 months, $490,000.
Wow.
That was half of the royalties of the music side of it, right? I got something else for you. He goes to the mailbox 3 days later. There's another $490,000 check. Because he sang on it and they used his vocals in the song, he got 2 royalty checks.
Right.
And that was just for 3 months.
Wow.
So he got $980,000 in royalties just in 3 months.
Wow.
So it can be very, very powerful when you own rights to a song. They say that Sting, that every breath you take, the P. Diddy used, there was a point where he was making about $2,000 every day. He was getting $2,000 every day off of Puffy using that song.
Wow.
Using the song. He didn't ask for permission, and Sting had all the rights to it. And he was getting about $2,000 a day in royalties from that song. So you think about that.
Yeah, so that's why you probably find people what you would see your crime people kind of trying to get involved with that industry, because one is probably good. Yeah, it's a lot of money. Right.
So when you think about it, so now let's digress. Let's go out to Puffy, let's go out to Jay-Z. What's gonna happen when I start going after their money?
You're gonna get control of their all their royalties. If they go in prison, you'll be able to buy their royalties, and then all that money gets transferred into the hands of whoever else. So
they said R. Kelly's still getting paid in prison. He's still getting paid in prison. He's paid all the victims off of those lawsuits that he had.
You see how when Michael Jackson passed on, all those royalties that he used to own somehow are getting sold back to Universal.
Well, Sony, yeah, there was a point where Michael Jackson owned 50% of Sony's entire catalog because he owned the rights to the Beatles and all of his music, and that's 50% of their catalog.
Wow.
And then so he ends up dying. Then you look at Prince, then you look at Prince. He ends up dying damn near the same way Michael Jackson died.
Right.
Prince owned his own masters.
Do you think that this is, I don't know, this is crazy. And then right now there's AI coming out that's sounding a lot like artists. It seems like they're getting rid of all the top people. And then now these new people are not going to know of the time when you had these kind of mogul like people. They're like getting rid of like the people that were like I don't know, the leaders.
Yeah, the leaders of what's been happening for the last 20 or 30 years or 40 years. And that's the concern that we have. You don't control your rights to your music. Like I give an example. Even Nipsey Hussle controlled the rights to all his albums except for like maybe one the last one he did we did a joint venture with Epic on this last album he came out with. So you start questioning, well, why something happened to him? Because he was worth, when he died, most people look at Nipsey Hussle, and a lot of people didn't know Nipsey before he died. Like they'll say, oh, I was into, no, they were not. I was into him because I was into him for 2 years before he died because he did a video called The Midas Touch. And the reason why it touched me is because there's an old guy named Slauson Bruce. And he's an old man who used to clean up at the shopping center and pick up trash and wash his windows to the shopping center. And Nipsey took him out for a full day of pampering. He got him a haircut. Took him to Tom Ford, bought him a suit, got him a foot massage, got his feet and nails done, took him to the Ocean Air, took him out to the strip clubs where he can enjoy himself.
Right.
And then put him in an apartment and said, you don't have to live on the streets no more, Bruce. You all money in, we're gonna take care of you. And because I saw Nipsey do that for that old man, that touched me. And so I started following him in his music. So I started following him in his movement. So that's why I started following Nipsey Hussle. But when you think about it, something happens to him. He controls a lot of his own masters. Yeah.
And he was controlling like a lot of had his own kind of
movement. He had his own movement. I mean, you think about it, right? So when Nipsey died, his net worth was like $8 million. And at the time, Cardi B had just came out. She had been out maybe 2 or 3 years. Her net worth was $8 million. And so you think like, well, Cardi B's a bigger star than Nipsey, right?
Yeah. No.
But he controlled more of his assets. He controlled more of his music. So he got more of his own money.
Right.
So that's why when you start thinking about stuff like that, the music industry itself, I have to always question why certain things is happening to certain people. Listen, to me, if Jay-Z had done anything, we would have knew about it by now. And then when somebody makes an allegation that that's old, I'm not falling for that. I mean, I'm not trying to take up for Jay-Z, but I'm smart enough to know that when you got a black man with $1 billion, he's extremely powerful. And then with Puffy, they knew about it. This ain't about them giving the whoever that person is justice. They're using this to just take him down. Because you don't just hide whooping somebody's ass like that. That ain't hideable. So it's like, I'm sorry. I don't believe that.
So what do you think about this whole YSL situation? Do you think that situation is going to resolve good, or is it going to click a closed case, so to speak?
Well,
mistrial? Or did they do a mistrial? They have to file over again?
They're not going to file over again because they screwed it up. And see, this is my issue. I have nothing against Fonnie Willis and what she was doing. I have nothing against her at all. But as a black man, if I speak against a black woman and say, hey, she should have done A, B, and C, they're looking at me like, who are you? You're just a lawyer. She's a DA. She's my soul sister number one. So it's not about that. I congratulate my sisters when they do well and when they're doing great. But the way that case was handled, trusting YSL Woody. Trusting Woody, and then the way that they did everything, some of the stuff that they did with the judge, I just knew that was coming. I just knew a mistrial. I knew a mistrial was coming. I knew a plea deal was coming, because it got so screwed up that even if they would have got a conviction, he would have got an appeal. They would have overturned it.
So do you think that there's like a hip hop police that follows a hip hop artist around? Like, you've dealt with hip hop artists from like Texas and stuff like that. Have you seen that a lot?
They do follow the music around because they think a lot of I think they believe a lot of the artists are fronted by dope dealers.
Is that somewhat true though? Because a lot of times they are kind of they'll have crews, and that's the people that can even afford to put out the and even have the money to even do the payola and all this other stuff.
Without saying too much, I would gather that that's the truth, because dope dealers don't need to have the money back just that quickly. They're willing to wait on the return of the money. And then there's been a lot of people that put money in the music so that they can wash the money and clean it up. And, it's easy to put it in music. Once artists become big and they start touring, some people can launder dope money through the music. That's what they said that BMF was doing. So
yeah, he just got out. The main guy from BMF, he just got out.
Yeah, Big Meech.
Did he get pardoned, or like did he just do his whole time, or what happened?
He did most of his time. I think he did like 25 or 26 years or 27 years, and that's about his 87% of what he was supposed to do, 85% of what he's supposed to do. And I think they let him out maybe a year early, because he's been in jail a long time. And the movement they had was like anything. It was unlike anything that we'd ever seen. Like I told you before, I literally had one of his guys come in my office that was doing some stuff, and they just moved different. They had money. They had a lot of power, and the way that they moved was just different. They treated money like it was like faucet water.
Right. Man,
Free water.
So do you think he probably even still has his money, or do they just seize all that? Like, when you get something like that happens, do they just completely figure out how to take everything from you, or is there ways to hide it?
Man, if I have that much money, ain't no way in the hell y'all gonna know where all my money at. I'm gonna put some money I'm gonna put some money somewhere where I can come back 30 years later and grab it. Right. Because I know it's gonna come to an end one day.
Yeah.
So if I'm making $1 million a month, $3 million a month, $4 million a month, I'm gonna find out a way to put $200,000 or $300,000 to the side in cash, duck it out somewhere.
Right.
And when I get out, I'm going to
Swiss accounts or something, some overseas.
Yeah. Or I'm gonna have somebody I know go get it. When they come see me, hey man, go over here, go get my money. That's just the truth.
Exactly. So
yeah, like I'm not like, with the kind of cash that they were dealing with, they were making a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you think is going to happen with this situation with Jay-Z? Do you think that he's going to get off? Do you think that there's a chance that he's going to get off? Because it seems like they're really doubling down with this Jane Doe character.
Look, if they take him to court and win a judgment on this, I already know it's fixed, because there's no way that they're going to be able to go back in time that far long ago and say that this man did this. And that's what the concerns are. And the stories are already not matching. The dad has already came out and said, hey, I don't know what she's talking about. I never picked her up from here or there. I don't recall any of that.
Can they use the stuff that they're saying on TV in the court?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can. Because it's a recollection stuff. And then some of the stuff that she said initially. And then the lawyer itself, he's been known to like ambulance chase. So, man, look, on the Jay-Z, on the Diddy front, look, I'm gonna tell you, like, nothing against Diddy, but I always felt there was something there with him, just because of all the stuff that has happened over the years. I mean, I hate to say this, but anybody who's dealt with him, where do they end up? Crazy, broke, dead.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, where's Black Rob ended up going to jail?
Shine went to jail.
No, Black Rob died. G Dep ended up going to jail. He confessed to a murder that nobody even knew he done. Mace went crazy, became a pastor. Now got a podcast. He's calm down. Faith Evans, Stevie J.
Man.
You think about all the Biggie's dead. Shine ended up going to prison. Yeah. Think about all these big artists that he had. Look at Jodeci. Joe had Jodeci for a minute. So
Every artist that
yeah.
is crazy. Wow.
So you look back. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's just what I'm saying. It's like, and then there's like stuff that I knew, like Father MC's baby mama getting trampled in that situation with him and Heavy D when they promoted that basketball game. They got sued. You got the situation where I think he beat up Steve Stout over the Hate Me Now video with him and Nas because they showed him on a cross and he told Steve Stout not to put that in the video. Ended up in the video anyway. So I heard that he whooped Steve Stout down for that.
Wow.
You got that situation. Then you got the situation, of course, with Biggie dying. Why y'all even going to California anyway?
Right.
You got the situation with.
Is there a death clause? Do you know if that's true about this death clause?
Well, they have insurance on most of the artists. I mean, that's what you do. You got to do that. Like, if I'm gonna put millions of dollars in you, I'm gonna put an insurance policy on you. Because I'm giving you all this money, you had to come up with all this stuff. I gotta put an insurance policy on you.
Right. So you have to have okay.
Yeah. And I hate to say this, is like a lot of stuff that happen to artists. Sometimes I don't understand. Like, but sometimes guys, you think you're invincible. You gotta have security. You gotta have people around you trust. You gotta be careful. Like when I see what happened to Young Dolph, man, I go like, golly. And it's a shame, but when I look at what happened to him, I go like, wow. Because you think about it, you're worth all of that money, and it's just like, man, you get killed. I mean, there's a lot of people you taking care of. And
I heard there was one specific label that was having a lot of artists that passing away under that Empire Records was
PRE, Empire Records.
Yeah,
that was the label Dolph was on. And then I'm a big person on spirits, right? So one of my rap rappers who I absolutely love, one of my favorite rappers of all time, is an unknown rapper here in Dallas. I don't see him unknown, but he has a little bit of reputation. There's a guy named the two rappers that I like the most in Dallas, and I make no apologies for this, is my guy 7 the Great. I think he's a wordsmith. He's a street wordsmith. I love him to death. He has songs with Yellow Beezy Mo 3, plenty of folks out here, Moneybag Yo. But there's a guy named Picasso Verbadelic. And me and him had a conversation about Nipsey. And I was like, man, you don't listen to Nipsey? He said, man, Nipsey seems to be a good dude. But to me, I'm very careful about the kind of spirits that I let into my music. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he said, he talks about death and killing and shooting and all this other stuff. And he said, man, I never do songs that talk about those things because I'm a big person on spirits. Like, I think that you can conjure up negative spirits and they can come for you. And when he said that to me, I was like, damn, like why is he saying that? And then he said this to me before Nipsey passed away. Then like a year later, Nipsey dies. And I go like, damn, I had this conversation with this guy. And that's what he was telling me. Because when you think about it, look at Young Dolph, that song Preach that he had. Look at the imagery of that video, right? So, but when you think about what they're involved in, I mean, it's a lifestyle that's rife with danger. You know what I mean? When you think about it, it's rife with danger. You got a lot of money. You're young, you're black, you're successful. These labels are giving you a lot of money. You're rapping about a lot of stuff. You're 1 foot in the streets and 1 foot out of the streets. Anything can happen to you. So yeah, these labels are gonna put life insurance policies on you. But I always think that rap used to be about talent. It's no longer about talent anymore.
It sure isn't.
It's about who they can control, and they can manufacture artists to be who they want them to be. Because one of the most frustrating parts that I know I've experienced, like when I'm helping out 7 the Great, and I go like, man, you better than a whole bunch of these guys out here. And but we realize that it's not really about the talent. It's about the push.
Yeah, it's about payola.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think radio even matters anymore. I think
no, they want to get young, dumb artists, get them into 360 deals, control all of their money, give them a little bit of money up front, and make them pay them for life. And if you know too much about music, they're not really interested in you because you know too much business on the business side. Yeah. And so that's why we got a lot of these stars that end up being stars. And I go like, man, and nothing against a lot of these rappers, but there's some rappers I go like, Like this has got Dave Blunt's like the Cup song. He's sitting up on stage with a damn oxygen tank, and they're making him too big star.
The really heavy dude that can barely stand up.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I go like, and I'm not trying to talk about him, but I'm like, dude, you damn near about to die up there.
Right.
God dang.
They're just rolling people out on the stage nowadays. They just my 600-pound life. Come on now.
Yeah, and it's like I look at people, but I see certain people get pushes. Like, and you know, in Dallas, unfortunately, we have not been blessed to get a lot of people to push our artists. You got the DLC who's from Dallas, he's from Dallas. But they don't. A lot of people don't consider him the ultimate Dallas artist because he was in with the NWA. You got Yellow Beezy. You got Mo 3 before he died.
Do you see now that they're trying to say that he has a trap house? You see how they're my best friend.
Yeah,
she's out there talking about Yellow Beezy now and trying to tie him to this whole Jay-Z trial and this, that, the other, and it's just like, come on, this is
man, stop and leave Beezy alone. Look, I'm gonna be quiet because man, I got some people that are related to me that do some stuff with Beezy, and I don't want nobody speaking on his name like that. I wish the best for the young man. He's a very successful Dallas artist. I know some of his family, so I'm wishing him the best.
Yeah,
and I wish him nothing but success, man. I thank you for putting Dallas on the map.
I sure. So also I wanted to talk about this because we're about to end this. We're about to be coming to the end of this interaction, but I wanted to talk about this film that you're promoting and that you're.
He never came home.
Yes, I was gonna bring.
Oh yeah, so this is what we talk about: the social justice film. He never came home. Shout out to A.L. Smith, and we did a release at Shreveport, Louisiana, and it's the story of Lehman Howard. And basically what happened to Lehman Howard, he has some mental disabilities. A furniture store heiress, this lady's husband who owned a furniture store, got killed on her walking to her car after she left the mall in Shreveport, Louisiana. And in the early 1960s. And what happened was they accused this black man of being the person who killed her. But they also, on the same day or shortly thereafter, they found a white man across town covered in blood and questioned him as well. And they said that he said he was cutting deer. He hadn't have anything to do with the person getting killed. And they had both of them in jail. His mother called. They let the white guy out. They were from Memphis. They literally went from Memphis, and the mother in Memphis called and said, y'all accusing my son. Y'all need to let him loose. He didn't do anything. So they let the white guy out of jail. He goes to Memphis, and his mother immediately sends him to Toronto, Canada.
Wow.
And so they leave the black man in jail. Now, while he's in jail, they take him off his medication, and they put him on some MK Ultra. You know what that is, right?
Yeah, MK Ultra. Yes.
So they put him on MK
LSD and like
LSD.
Yeah.
And so while he's in there, he gets into it with another inmate and kills the inmate, and then goes to trial and gets 15 years for killing the inmate. Now, they also had accused him of killing the woman, the furniture store heiress, remember?
Uh-huh.
Well, he does his 15 years for killing the inmate, which I think they caused by putting him on the crazy medicine, by experimenting with MK Ultra with him. So he does his 15 years, and you're thinking, if he does his 15 years, what is he supposed to do? Get out, right?
Yeah.
But guess what happened? They never charged him. They dropped the charges on the murder of the white woman, but they never told his family.
Huh.
So he did his 15 years, and they never released him. So he spent 42 years in a mental institution.
Wow.
So after the 15 years, he did another 27 years in a mental institution, and nobody ever called his family and told them where he was at and when they could go get him. So that's why the name of the movie is He Never Came Home. And so basically, he was accused of a crime he didn't commit. He did 42 years, really because of the people in Shreveport, Louisiana caused this. And so the problem is people in Shreveport don't want, right now, it's going to be in a limited release. We're going to try to release it at the Dallas Black Academy of Arts and Letters T-ball, and we're also going to be going to Grambling and Prairie View pretty soon. We're trying to set that up to be able to go and do a panel discussion along with the movie release there. And so A.L. Smith will be providing additional stuff, but we're trying to work with Curtis King at T-ball to get them to show it here in February. That's what we're hoping to do. And so, matter of fact, I got to call Curtis. And so I'm going to definitely try to get him to do that. But it's a great story because he did 42 years for a crime he didn't commit in Shreveport, Louisiana. And people are, why is this story being hidden? Well, number one, the sheriff of the town of Shreveport, of course, has passed away. But his great-grandson now is a judge in Shreveport. So they don't want to talk about this movie.
Wow. So, I'm actually interviewing a young, coming up, a guy named Bam from Shreveport. He was part of these things called they were the something brothers. The backdoor brothers, bottom brothers or something like that from down in Louisiana. And this was supposed to be like one of the biggest gangs down in, or like areas in Shreveport. And he was one of the most feared, prisoners and stuff like that. He went to federal prison, but it was called the something bottom brother.
Yeah. Shreveport got a history of, they got a lot of gangsters down there, but man, when their criminal justice system, I thought Texas's was bad. Man, like Louisiana, man, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So this whole area, they no one was able to go to this area. Like the police, they had it all like organized.
Yeah,
and they came in there and they arrested a whole bunch of people, and he was one of them. And so I'm about to be doing an interview with him pretty soon.
I want you to do one thing. Genesis, is look up the story of Mac Phillips. Mac Phillips was one of the rappers, was the rapper Mac that was on No Limit Records. And when we premiered our movie, Mac also told his story. So we did like a co-premiere. Mac basically is a public speaking. He runs around and tells his story. And he did 20 years for a crime he didn't commit. They accused him of shooting somebody in the nightclub, and it wasn't him. He didn't do it. But he tells the story, and he tells the story of them using his lyrics and all the stuff that they did to convict him. And Mac, shout out to Mac, man. It was a great meeting you, my brother. If you watch this, you ever see this. But Mac Phillips, the story of Mac Phillips, the rapper Mac from No Limit Soldiers, amazing story. He's an amazing young man. Him and his wife are great people. I met them.
Definitely. If I can, I'm gonna look him up and see if I can get in touch with him. I want to show you this preview of this because I want to definitely support it. I don't know if we should do just try to find out. I'm going to talk to the person that created this film as well because
if you want to show this, listen, you want to show the trailer on the live stream. Let's go ahead and show people the trailer of He Never Came Home. I think it'd be great for them to see. You go ahead and pull it up on YouTube. Let's just go ahead and show it. I don't think she have a problem with that.
Okay, that's cool. Because I would love to one day interview the person. So
we're gonna definitely talk to her about that. But go ahead and show this.
Okay.
Play it.
Daddy, what happened to Mrs. Booth?
Somebody killed that lady that knew about her when they was covering up, and they had to put it on a black man. But in the position that they got him to confess to all of that stuff, but forced him to confess.
A 16-year-old, 5 officers, this statement from the very beginning was coerced.
You have somebody that's mentally disabled, who is in a room for the first time, who has never been interrogated. They may not understand what they're being asked. They're more susceptible to pressure.
Have you ever been mistreated? You know just what I'm talking about.
So many.
Louisiana has been that state
that has been horrific when it comes to Black people. You know, I think about the statue of Robert E. Lee, you know, and part of raised high over the city, you know, and I think about young Black kids having to walk past that statue on the way to school, and the ideology of white supremacy still looking down all over that state.
He was always considered as a boy. It didn't make no difference who you were. If you had brown skin, you was a boy.
It was very segregated, especially in Boston, you know, in the rural. It was no interaction.
The white man loses his conscience when it comes to equality and justice for Black folk.
Wow. Okay, that looks like a very powerful film. I would hope that I can find a way to see that. Definitely.
Well, we're definitely, and it's funny as I'm texting Curtis King from T-Ball right now because I have to follow up with him, as well as A.L. Smith. But she did a great. A.L. Smith is a director and writer of movies. She did an award-winning movie called Dana's Story. It's about human trafficking, so you can look at Dana's Story. Go watch that, and that's on plenty platforms. And then, of course, He Never Came Home, which is her latest release. It took her 7 years to make this movie, and so we want people to see it. And so we're actually trying to give a T-Ball right now to see if we can get it shown. So that's the thing. I love doing these podcasts with you. And if you ever have any more suggestions, we can definitely get together again and talk maybe at least once a month on on current events, especially legal stuff that's happening. And so we definitely want to get together and do another live stream. If you want to get in touch with Calvin Johnson, you can go to Facebook. You can go to Calvin D. Johnson, or I'm with Calvin Johnson. You can find me on Facebook. And also Attorney Calvin D. You can hold the word attorney in front of Calvin D. Johnson, Attorney Calvin D. Johnson at gmail.com. Or the following phone numbers that are listed below: 469-583-3663. You can text me, or 214-565-5600. Or the most important, they won't let me out.com. So, those are the platforms that you can reach me on. Feel free to reach out to me. And once again, we're going to try to do this at least once a month, talk about current events, legal stuff, criminal stuff, as well as the entertainment industry and just, current cultural events. So,
and you know what? I think I would like to bring on that director next time. I would like to bring you and that director on to talk about human trafficking.
Yes, let's talk about that, and we can talk about that movie as well as this movie. So
we can bring you guys both on if we could put that together for some time coming up this in January.
We're definitely going to do that. So let's see what we can do about that. I'm definitely going to hit AL and see if we can make that happen. But let's get that done. All right.
All right, man. Thank you so much. This has been a great show. I appreciate your time. Oh, also, They Won't Let Me Out. Please go. I'm the developer of that. So if you guys ever need any website work for just a blatant self promo, I also want to show your commercial I did for you too before you go.
Okay.
I forgot I did that commercial for you.
Exactly.
Let me see if we're gonna find it. No, can't find it. Oh, here it is. Yes, so yes, thank you, Calvin, for being here with us for one more time. I'm gonna play your commercial on the way out, and then we'll be going from there. So let me just share my screen so you can see that. So
the justice system, it can feel overwhelming. That's why having a champion like attorney Calvin Johnson in your corner is crucial. With a proven track record in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Calvin fights tirelessly for his clients, whether it's a minor infraction or a serious charge. He knows how to make the courtroom less intimidating, guiding you with expertise and genuine care. When your future is on the line, you deserve an attorney who is dedicated to winning your case. Choose Calvin Johnson because your defense matters.
I'll Alchemize your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. Alchemize your energy, my friend. Let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright, from darkness to light.